A warm welcome to this festive edition of Stu's Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 191. And waiting in the wings is a UK talent who's won a lot of gold since transitioning from boxing into pro wrestling. It's none other than the natural born fighter. It's RPD, Ryan Paul Davis, on the show today. How are we, mate?
I'm all right. How are you? You okay?
All good, all good. So, yeah, it's been fantastic for you, obviously, with the pro wrestling since you transitioned over. And how's this year been for you, first and foremost, mate?
Really good, yeah. Like I feel like I've done my best work this year as well. I feel like we're always looking to improve, always looking to get better, of course. But this is the first year I felt probably at my most comfortable in a wrestling ring and knowing what my role is and what I'm there to do.
That's great. No, brilliant. I know, obviously, because you've been doing it now 5 years, haven't you?
5 years, yeah.
So if you're seeing the progression, that's amazing. That must be the ultimate for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously it was a big jump for me, and a big, I've always felt like I'm on catch up, and I suppose I'll always feel like I'm on catch up, but I do feel, especially in the last year or two, I've really come on leaps and bounds, and that's because I've been very lucky to work for some really good promotions who have allowed me to wrestle some really good talent, which has been like a cheat code, if anything, of how to do it fast, because it was either sink or swim, really, with them guys. And so, yeah, they've all taught me a lot, and I feel like I've progressed because of them.
I was going to ask you also, yes, just some of the matches this year maybe that have stood out. Not to say you're playing favourites here, but just maybe some matches that, from the top of your head that have stood out this year that, being a stellar year for you personally.
There've been so many, and I could go on. I don't want to be remiss and miss people out, but just off the top of my head, guys like Sam Gradwell, guys like Joey Hayes, Dylan Roberts, Lance Rivera. There's so many. Rick Marcus. There's so many that I've had this year, and every one of them I feel has kind of elevated me and made me better. So yeah, very happy with the way the year's gone.
How did it come about? Obviously, you were a pro boxer for many years. You had to retire, of course. How did it formulate the transition into wrestling? That's what I wanted to ask you. How did that come about? How did that happen?
Well, I mean that question gets asked to me quite often. I was always a wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan since I've been 3-year-old. I think one of my first figures I ever had was a Hulk Hogan and an Ultimate Warrior. Those ones you could chew. They're just no limbs in them, just like made out of rubber or something. And I was a huge fan as a kid. But I come from a boxing family, so my granddad was a boxer in World War II. My dad was a boxer, and I'll be dead honest with you. From where I'm in Blackpool, I honestly didn't think there was any avenue to become a professional wrestler unless you were 6'10" and American. So I just didn't know about it. I really was. I was in the dark of the independent scene a lot, and always watched the WWE and WCW and ECW when I was a kid and stuff. But never really ventured further afield than that, if I'm honest. But then I got into boxing pretty young. I must have been like 8 or 9. Kind of pursued that more or less my whole life. Eventually made a career out of it and a job out of it. And then sadly, when I was 30 years old, I had to retire. I had basically a kind of a fault on my brain scan that could come back. Now it's nothing that affects my health or anything like that. These things, basically, you get like a yearly brain scan and a heart test and blood tests and everything with the professional boxing. And my scan had come back different from the year before, and so you kind of get like a 3 strikes and you're out sort of thing with that, because obviously you're getting hit in the head. as a job, really, as a professional boxer. So they expect changes, but what they don't want to see is too many changes either in a short space of time. So I got one. So I got flagged for one, and I could have continued. I could have carried on, and they would have checked again on the following checkups. But my dad was my boxing coach, and we're very, to this day, we're a very family-run unit. And he expressed that he wanted me to go and see specialists and stuff like that to find out what it was and everything. We did. Never really ever found out 100% what it was. It was basically down to being punched and an impact and whatnot. And they couldn't really give a definitive answer of whether. Listen, no doctor's ever going to say it's okay to go and get hit. No, they're just not going to put. They're going to tell you that there's a risk to it. There's a risk for everybody who jumps in a boxing ring. But long story short, we could have carried on. We could have kind of gone against it and seen what the following scans would have done, in the following months or whatever. But we didn't. As a family, we decided. My dad wanted me to maybe pack in. Then my mum was with me. My missus, who was heavily pregnant, she was like 8 months pregnant at the time. She kind of expressed her wishes for me to retire, and begrudgingly, I kind of accepted and stepped away, which was at the time really, really hard for me, because I was never forced out. It was my decision, and that made it worse in a way. And it was always, what if, if I'd have carried on, maybe everything had been fine and I could have got on a full career or whatnot. But hindsight is a great thing, because if that hadn't have happened, professional wrestling would have never happened for me. And I can't tell you how happy I am that it did. It was a real saving moment for me in my life as well. In a time when I was pretty down because of the loss of my boxing career, an opportunity came for me to try wrestling out. And obviously, as a childhood fan, I jumped at the chance. To be honest, I've never looked back. That was it.
We've got Mike Angus here in the comments. I'm going to have to pull this up, right?
I like Big Mike.
I'm going to have to pull this up. RPD is a class act. Great to have watched his progression. So there you go.
What a guy.
Yeah,
Mike's incredible. One of the good guys. Mike is one of the good guys in wrestling. He really is. He's always had time for me and always made effort with me and whatnot. And I like to think I've always reciprocated it. And a good man, Mike. So thank you.
He's incredible. I was with him a couple of weeks ago in Chester, sampling all the wares at the Christmas markets. Let's have a shot of this. Let's have a shot of that. So yeah, that's him. But yeah, Mr. Positive as well. Mr. Positive. I'd say you will not meet a more positive person. He's incredible. You can be having a shit day, speak to him. That's him, isn't it? You know him well.
It cheers me up.
Cheers for that, Mike. Cheers. So yeah, how did you feel going back to that? How was your mental side? That you had to pack it in. That's what I was going to ask you before we had Mike's comment.
Very sad, because as I say, it was kind of a family decision. And it wasn't, if I'm honest, thoroughly I didn't really want to pack in, but I felt a little bit forced to by my dad, who's my coach, and my missus, who, as I said, was as bad as my daughter, and my mum. And I had a lot of pressure from the family to maybe step away. And they had my best. I 100% understand, but there was nothing definitive to say that ever could. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Of
course,
I'd give so much of my life to boxing and professional boxing that it was a very bitter pill to swallow at the time. But like I say, I'm trying to be as positive as I am in general life anyway. I'm glad it happened now. I wasn't at the time, but I am glad it happened because it's opened another door for me that as the wrestling, which has been so good. I can't tell you how good it's been to me, and how much fun I've had with it, and how much I've thoroughly enjoyed learning it, and the people I've met within it, and the experiences I've been, and the places I've been because of it. I honestly, I'm not a religious man or anything like that, but I do believe in like fate, and I do believe things happen for reasons, and I've definitely come to the conclusion that I was meant to, for whatever reason, I meant to get pulled out of boxing because it opened the door to this, and I do think I was come here.
Thank you for sharing that, man. Honestly, I know, like you said, the amount of years you were doing it for.
Yeah.
You know, a young lad. It was a lot. Yeah. It's still part of your life, and I want to talk about the gym after.
Yeah.
Obviously, focusing on the wrestling. We're in the now, of course.
Yeah.
Grand Pro Wrestling. You know,
Yeah.
you had your start, didn't you? I had Johnny Brannigan on years ago on the show. Fantastic guest. So yeah, you start with Grand Pro and
very
Johnny
good
Brannigan.
Johnny. Well, this is literally how it's, because I'll be honest with you, I'll say it now, it's because of Johnny Brannigan I am a professional wrestler. That he is the sole singular reason. I retired from boxing. I had like a year sat on my couch watching my daughter, just be born and grow up, and I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I had a fantastic year. I had a lot of ice cream, I had a couple of beers, I watched a lot of Disney films, but very quickly living that life, I just ceased to be me, the me that I know. I was a full-time dad, and I'll always be a full-time dad, but there was nothing like, I didn't train anymore. Because I was bitter. I was so bitter, and I had so many years to training. I just felt like, what was the point? And then a year passed, and I'd put a load of bad weight on, and I got a call from Johnny Brannigan, and I was just approaching 31, so pretty, really late to start something new. But I've always been someone who kind of thrives off challenge and goals, and being able to look at something and chase it. And he approached me and he said, "Right, I know you've always been a wrestling fan. I run a wrestling company in Wigan called Grand Pro Wrestling. Would you be interested in ever having a match for me?" And I just laughed at him. I love Johnny. I've known him a long, long time. I laughed at him because the reason he knew I loved pro wrestling is because we're from a similar group of friends. But when I boxed, I always come down to a pro wrestler's entrance music. It's like my nod to my mates in the crowd. No, none of the actual boxing fans got it, I don't think, but my mates always got a bit of a pop out of it. And so he approached me to do it, and I said, "Johnny, I'm 5'10", and I boxed at welterweight. I boxed at 10.5 stone." And I was like, what can you do with me in wrestling? He went, "Mate," he said, "you've had a legitimate career and a good boxing career." Because I had 9 unlicensed fights. I won all my unlicensed fights, and I was 2-time British champion at 2 different weights in the unlicensed scene. And then I turn over to the professional ranks, which is pretty unheard of, because most guys go like down the amateur route, but I jumped straight from unlicensed boxing to pro boxing. And I had 13 pro fights, and I won 12 of them. And I won an international title along the way. Got into the top 20 in the country. Things were looking really good. And then, obviously, fate came along then, just as things looked like they were about to maybe monetarily make a big difference for me. He got ripped away from me a little bit. But he, going back to what Johnny said, he said, "Listen, you've had this legitimate career. This I can work with that." He said, "There's loads I can do with that." So put the phone down to him, and I kind of half smirked. But then I thought about it, and I didn't like what I'd become in the year. I didn't resemble an athlete at all. I was living, pretty, in terms of health-wise, a pretty poor life in terms of dietary choices and just lack of training. And the reason for that is because I am someone who needs that carrot, and I need to chase something, or else, I find it very hard to motivate myself to train. And it used to be that in 6 to 10 weeks, some guy was coming to knock my teeth out, and that's a great motivator. That really wakes you up. That makes you go for a run and stuff like that. But this just, I don't know, it just lit fire under me. I thought about it and I thought, you know what, this could be a great opportunity for me to learn something new, to do something no one's really expecting as well. A completely new challenge, and get myself back in shape and be the guy who I know I am for my daughter and everything. So as she grows up, she gets to see me as an athletic guy rather than just a slob, and that's what I've become. So I started training, and it all happened very quickly. Johnny came down to my boxing gym, and he was a very good pro wrestler himself, and he started helping me alongside a guy called Timon Helmsby. And he's again a really good wrestler on the scene. He's called Mickey Barnes, Bad Lad Mickey Barnes, and he started to help me. And then within a session or two, maybe the second session, Sam Gradwell came down to help me because he's from Blackpool too. So I got to know them three really quick, and they all really tried to help me and help me progress. And we knew we didn't have like loads of time because it would have to kind of move quickly, much quicker than your regular trainee, because they were going to try and monetize the name a little bit of what I'd done in boxing to sell tickets for Grand Pro Wrestling. So I think I started wrestling. I think I started training in like the October or the November, and then in the January I made my debut, but not wrestling. It was more drawn out than that. I was in the crowd and ended up getting dragged out of the crowd, noticed in the crowd by a wrestler, dragged out of the crowd and ended up having a fight, and then a pull apart brought up, and then it all started from there. It became more public that I was going to start training, and I think I trained for another 2 or 3 months. So I think I made my debut around the May, if I recall. So it was like a 5-month turnaround for a match, which is really quick. But the match went really well. For a first time, really, really well. I was with a very, very experienced hand who helped me so much on that match. But the thing was, it was meant to be like a one and done sort of thing. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and ironically, I got the buzz that I got from boxing, which I never thought I'd feel again. Never thought I'd be able to feel that sort of excitement and rush again. And I finished the match, and I spoke to Johnny Moore straight after it and said I might have to do that again, and it's just never stopped. It's just never, since that day, it's just never stopped. If anything, it's got worse. Like I became obsessed with it. So. Yeah.
It came in at the right time, didn't it, for you? It truly did.
Everything for a reason. I believe that. Yeah. And pro wrestling and Johnny came right at the right time for me.
Amazing. Now, just obviously going on to matches after that. How did you feel going into after the first match, going into the next ones? How was it? If you can recall.
No, I can recall. I remember it being hard. I remember it really, really hard, and I always expected it to be hard. I didn't know it'd be as hard as it was, if I'm honest. Learning to bump and learning to wrestle and learning the psychology of it and all that sort of thing. I mean, again, I had fantastic trainers like Sam and Ty and Johnny, and I had people like CJ Banks who come and help me out and stuff like that. Really experienced heads within British wrestling who came to help me. I did stuff, with John Kenny in Liverpool, and really, really, really well-respected, good people who always tried to help me so much. But the thing is, after the first match, I knew that the expectation of me would start to change as well, because for your first match, people kind of accept that a couple of mistakes will be made and whatever. But when I decided to actually, maybe pursue it, I knew that I'd start to be judged quite harshly quite quickly as well, because I was pushed to quite a decent position on a card, and so I had to live up to that. So that helped me so much because I'm someone who thrives off pressure a little bit, and I need a bit of pressure to kind of get to where I want to be. And so yeah, it was slow progression, but in real time, really fast progression, because like that after that first match, I did like a year at Grand Pro, really just Grand Pro. I did one or two other smaller promotions as well, for the chance, just try and get more experience. And just as I've just started to get going and the training, the pandemic hit. So a year in and a year into wrestling, and probably about, I don't know, realistically 6 shows maybe I'd done 6 shows, and then again the rug got pulled from me again another time, but this time it got pulled from everybody, and the whole world shut down, and what I thought would be a couple of weeks ended up being 2.5 years, was it? I don't know. But
roughly, wasn't it? Yeah, but when we were in and out of it, yeah, before it really settled.
With especially with wrestling shut down more or less entirely, and training shut down. And I'll be honest with you, in that two years, I did honestly think that maybe the ship had sailed for me. I thought I started at 31. By the time I'd come out of the pandemic, I was 33, 34, maybe, I don't know, around that age. And I remember just thinking, maybe I've started a bit too late, and then this is hit, and I've kind of, the ship sailed a little bit. That was in my head. But then very, very quickly, just as the pandemic started to reside, I started getting calls off GPW. GPW weren't coming back. GPW weren't coming back after the pandemic. They sort of extended the hiatus a little bit, and I thought that was another reason why I won't. There's nowhere else that will want me, because they don't know me like Johnny does and everything like that. But very quickly, I started getting calls from different companies. One of them being Odyssey Pro Wrestling in Morecambe, who have got a massive place in my heart now, and I'll explain that as we go along. But I mean, they messaged me pretty quickly, and asked me whether I would be interested in wrestling for them on their return to Morecambe shows, more or less as soon as the pandemic ended. I got a call very soon after that by Wrestle Island in Birkenhead, which is a really popular promotion, and a guy called Peter, a lovely bloke who runs that, who called me and again was willing to take a bit of a chance on me. And then it was like a domino effect. It just started to happen for me. I got a call off Jay Apter at TNT, but it was for Superstar Wrestling, one of his other branches of it. Would I want to wrestle on that? And again, very, very quickly, things just started to move for me, and I just jumped into it. I thought, well, this is your chance now. Just sink or swim. You're not very experienced, but these guys are willing to have a go. How much do you want it? So I jumped in, and again, thankfully I did, because it paid off.
Amazing. Just so cool. Like off the back of all that, and then everyone was after you, mate. So
weird, mate. No, honestly, it was like a domino effect, because Odyssey from day one treated me like a quite a big deal. But when I came out, like at Odyssey, and that was my first show. In 2.5 years. I'd never been to Morecambe as a tourist or anything, But and I walked out, and they went absolutely mad, the crowd, and I was like, because I didn't even know who I was. I genuinely didn't. I didn't have a clue who I was, but they promoted me well, Odyssey beforehand and everything, and they went mad to the point where, I mean, to this day, I've got an unbelievable connection with the crowd in Morecambe, and it's been eye-opening, really, wrestling in Morecambe. There's only one Morecambe really in the world, but it's a special place to me, that because of that. Again, Wrestle Island were fantastic with me from the start, treated me like a big deal, and luckily their crowd got behind me very, very quickly. I did the match for Superstar against a really good friend of mine, Rick Marcus, and Jay obviously liked what he saw, and very quickly I got another call, a follow-up call. Did I want to debut for TNT, which was like mind-blowing to me, because I'd heard of TNT and everything like that, and I'd seen the stuff, but I thought, but he brought me in again as like a mystery partner for in like a 6-man tag. And again, I was I genuinely thought when I walked out, they won't have a clue who I am, and they went, like they're announcing me as this, mystery partner. So boom, music hits. I come out, and they went absolutely berserk. They all started cheering RPD, and I thought, well, what is happening here? And then again, I think Jay saw that, and he was like lightning in a bottle. He followed it because, like, he put me on nearly every Ignition show, their family branch show after that, and the crowd was so for me from the start, and that led me all the way for every show, all the way to the title. That was it.
Mad, absolutely mad, but amazing. And the fans do love you. I know that. The fan favorite. That's when you've got the crowd on side, it's amazing. So
Yeah.
no, fair play to you. Fair play to you. We've had a question from William Hughes. I remember a few years ago, I had a major panic attack, and he was there for me at TNT Extreme Wrestling, and I will always be grateful.
Oh, that's I actually remember that. I remember that, yeah. But but again, that's lovely, and I appreciate that. But for me, this is a privilege. This wrestling has been a lifeline for me, and not that I know any more than anybody else, because I certainly don't, especially about wrestling. But what I do know is that it is a business, and I know that without fans, there is no show, and there is no us. It's no good being a good wrestler if there's nobody wanting to come and watch you, or nobody in the crowd to watch you. And so I always try and be as good with the crowd and the fans as I can, because I'm so genuinely appreciative of the support and everything, because I know this doesn't happen without them. But all the pushes and all the titles and all the things I've done now over 5 years is because of them. It started with them, and to this day, it's still them, and it'll always be them, because they are the most important thing. They're the most important thing for me as a wrestler, because that's how I can judge if I've done good or bad, really. How they react. If I'm getting no reaction at all, I know it's not been a good night. But luckily for me, I've very rarely, if ever, had that. The crowd are fantastic for me nearly everywhere I go, and that's a big indicator. And then again, for any aspiring wrestlers or anything like that who are coming up, if you can win over the fans, a promoter has no choice but to look into you, because you become an asset to them that way. That is how you progress in pro wrestling. It is, of course you have to train, and of course you have to be safe, and of course you have to do it. They're non-negotiables. But if you want to work your way up a card, and I always did, I didn't, to steal a line from Conor McGregor, I didn't come to take part. I came. My idea was to take over. It was always to take over. I wasn't happy just being a wrestler on the show. I wanted to be the main guy on the show, And I'm not saying I've always done that, but that's the aim. That is the aim. And everywhere I've gone, I have worked my way from the bottom of the card to the top of the card, every single place. But the reason I've done that isn't because I'm an unbelievable technical wrestler. I've become, in my opinion, a very competent professional wrestler. But the most important thing is I get over with a crowd. I get over, no matter what crowd I'm put in front of, I seemingly get them behind me. And then it's like a wave, a tidal effect then, because they follow me. And because they follow me, the promoters want me to come back, because they're getting asked by fans, is RPD on the next show? And and that's a wave I've tried to ride for 5 years, and I'm going to try and ride it until I fall off it. I'll be honest with you, that is the plan. But that's how I've always tried to. I've tried to treat wrestling like, with complete respect, but like a business. I understand that at the end of the day, it's about bums in seats. It's about tickets. It's about selling. We're selling a product, and so I've always tried my very best for every promotion I've ever worked for to help with that, to put bums on seats, and to continue to put bums on seats.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw some photos up now, Rye.
Okay.
We're going to get the photos up with your wares. You're belt collecting in this one.
Oh,
I can see obviously there. So yeah.
Well, that's when I was running the Northwest. You see, hey. Now, so that I mean that's amazing. That was when, in the space of a year. So this is literally a year after the pandemic, and I started wrestling again. I'd climbed to the top there now of the three, promotions, or three of the biggest promotions that I was a part of, and that was Odyssey, where I'd started in Morecambe. So again, I started as an unknown to them, but with the kind of wave of popularity, they had no choice but really to start placing me higher up the card, and because the fans reacted to that. That led me all the way to the title a year later. So that's the blue one, the Odyssey title. TNT, exactly the same. I started at Ignition as a mystery guest, and then within a year and a half, I was thrust into the title picture, and it was decided that I was the man to sort of kind of front that brand and be the face of that brand. And exactly the same again in Wrestle Island. Again, got pushed right to the top of the card, and obviously I was having good matches in all them companies over a period of a year and a half to kind of climb there, and little tests all the time to kind of so that the promoters could be definitive that I was the guy that they needed, on the front of a poster and the head of a poster and everything. But I think I did prove. I proved to everybody, that I was that guy, and that was a really good time. So I won all three of the main titles around me at the same time, and obviously I had to have a picture before it, because I knew it wouldn't last forever. So I thought I'd have to have a picture of him,
You're getting like Ultimo Dragon when he was belt collecting there, you see. Weren't you? Amazing.
Yeah, it was a really good time. Really, really good time. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to the promoters, obviously, and all them brands for having a bit of faith in me. But I'll be dead honest with you, I don't think any of them would be able to say that it wasn't a good decision. It was a good decision, because for that whole year that I was champion, because I was a champion in TNT, Wrestle Island, and Odyssey, all for over 365 days. Every one of them reigns lasted over a year. And I was the head of, I was in the main event of nearly every one of those shows for that year. In terms of monetary value, I mean, they were always packed houses. I worked in front of packed houses for a year, and so it was a good decision. It was a mutually good decision, because I got to where I wanted to be, but at the same time, we kept the fans coming in, and that's good as well.
Amazing, absolutely. Now, I know you're a huge Stone Cold Steve Austin nut. I know this. I'm going to ask you, favorite match of Austin's. Can we get it to one, or are you going to need two or three?
Well, I mean, people. Steve's had some great matches, but people leaned only towards the Bret Hart one at WrestleMania, when it was the double turn, and that is a fantastic match. Fantastic, brilliant, and he's been in so many. And when he was stunning Steve Austin, he was such a good technical wrestler and everything. But this probably epitomizes me as a wrestling fan, and even probably as a wrestler now. my favourite Stone Cold Steve Austin match was him and Rock at WrestleMania 17, right? And I'll explain. Was that as technically good as him and Bret Hart? No, it wasn't. It certainly wasn't. They more or less just brawled for it until obviously the heel turn come near the end. But for me, that match and the build up and everything, it was the story that they told for months leading into that match, and then the actual match itself. It was complete story, and it had me enthralled. And for me, that was the biggest sort of climax to a match and a feud. You know, Rock and Austin is probably my favourite feud of all time, if I'm honest. But I think it epitomises how I see wrestling as well. That because, of course, I want to see a great match. I love a match like a Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, or a Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. I love them matches. But for me, the most important thing is the story. And I thought they hit the story so well there, and I've took that into my own wrestling because how do I say this in the most respectful way? I'm more bothered personally about putting matches on that people are invested in because of the story and the character and what we're doing than putting a 5-star technical masterclass on. And people would say maybe that's because I'm not a pure technical wrestler. I'm not. That's true. I've got to, in my opinion, a very competent level of it. But the thing is, the British scene is full of so many incredible wrestlers. Like they're so good. And the truth is, I'll never be better than them at that facet of the game, no matter how hard I try. No matter how many times I put a pair of black kick pads on and have a go at it, I'll always be a copy of better people. So I've never tried to do that. That's never been the aim. Like the aim for me was to be the singular one of me. The way I wrestle, the things I do, I try and do things that only I do. And it's done me well so far, because I stand out. I stand out to promoters and to cards because I don't try and do what everyone else is doing, and certainly don't try and do it worse than everybody else is doing it as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, for me, my favourite match was definitely Rock and Austin at 17. And hopefully I'll give it a decent enough explanation to why I felt that was.
Yeah, it was detailed. Yeah, you explained absolutely. Yeah. And also the promotional video still to this day with Limp Bizkit My Way in the back.
Unbelievable.
For that is still up there. I know a lot of people say about it, but it is.
I've just never seen anything like it. It was amazing. And then a shout out also story wise, but also stunts wise. A shout out goes to, because I always remember it as a kid and it's always stuck with me. The first, well, not the first ever, but the Hell in a Cell match with Taker and Mankind.
Oh my days!
Because that to me, I remember. I mean, I was a kid, but I remember thinking he's dead. Like I genuinely thought that had gone wrong, and that they broke the illusion for him, which is amazing,
I don't want to age us here, but them were the days. Staying up to watch the pay-per-views, taping the pay-per-views as well. Having to set that video recorder, that was them were the days. I'm a nostalgic person, me, but amazing. Like it's great having everything accessible now and clicking on things, but the way we had to do it, right? Watching it growing up, that was
recording it on a tape.
Right?
Yeah, I know, brilliant.
The tape's got jammed, Dad, so these had to unscrew the top.
Yeah, brilliant.
He's round the tape back. Yeah, the kids today will never know. They'll never know.
The struggle.
The trials and tribulations we had to watch our wrestling.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I want to segue into the boxing gym, of course. You've had the boxing gym over in Blackpool, training guys. So, yeah, just it's been going since 2015, of course. And just how it is training guys, because I'm a big boxing fan.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to hear about that.
So this is like my real job. Not that I don't consider wrestling my real job, but as I said, wrestling is a privilege to me. It's a hobby that I've been lucky to be able to kind of pursue and do with regularity now. But when I retired from boxing in that year, when I'd retired, what had happened is I'd already set up a gym for me to train out of with my dad, a small unit in Blackpool. But then all of a sudden I found myself out of a job, but with this building and rent to pay and whatnot. So me and Dad got our heads together, and we decided that due to my reputation within Blackpool, well, our reputation, mine and my dad's, in the boxing circles, that we would open the gym up publicly to people who wanted to come and learn how to box. And that way I could keep my hand in boxing. And still, because I'm not going to lie, I love professional wrestling, but boxing is one of my great passions in life, and still to this day, one of my great passions in life. And it gave me an opportunity to still be part of boxing and help maybe grow the future of it, whilst at the same time, being able to make some money out of it still. So, yeah, we opened the gym up publicly. We didn't know how popular it'd be, but luckily, I'd grown quite a big following in Blackpool, and it went from there. Literally, we opened up. We were busy from day one. We've stayed busy for now 10 years nearly.
Amazing,
mad, absolutely mad. But yeah, just very, very proud of the place. That's my full-time job. I'm in there like 7 days a week, and I just train people. I train people of all ages. I've got kids classes. I've got adult classes. I train elderly, OAP.
amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I work with schools. I do all sorts of stuff, and I love that.
The whole gamut there as well, like all walks of life, all ages. That must be the ultimate. That
it is. It is. We've got we've got a little guest here who's joined in on me. Well, I've just looked into my corner in there. Come on, come say hello.
Hello, how you doing? You're right.
This is my daughter, Bo. Say hello.
How are you? You're good. Looking forward to Christmas.
You are, aren't you?
Oh, bless you. My boys too. He's looking forward to Christmas. Brody, he's very excited. He wants Paw Patrol. That's what he wants.
Do you want?
I'll show.
You're not showing us. You get everything. Stitch.
Bless her.
Obsessed with Stitch. Yeah, she brought me these. You see.
There we go. Bit of Stitch. Yeah.
Oh,
they're brill.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Far more talented than your dad. Far more. Right. Listen, I've got to do this interview for wrestling. Okay. All right.
Bye.
Don't mess around. Don't mess around. You can sit on the bed. Yeah. All right. Be good. Right. Sorry.
It's all right. No problem.
Anyway,
Not a problem.
It's a good insight into my life, though. Really,
Yeah, that's what it is. Being a dad, man. I know it all too well now myself as well. So that's
my main job, being a dad.
Yes.
The one I'm most proud of as well.
With all the accomplishments, of course, but yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah,
that's the greatest accomplishment I'll ever have, without a doubt.
I was going to ask you as well. Obviously, looking into the future, of course, Grand Pro Wrestling next year. So obviously January, I'll put the graphic up as well. You got a match, you got a tag match with Sandy Beach against Mikey Barnes, who you spoke about earlier, and Kemper, back with a bang at the Monaco in Wigan there on the 26th of Jan. So yeah, big show for GPW there for you, mate.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, again, it's a huge year for me now. I mean, Grand Pro came back about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and they've been. I'm a little bit biased because I started with them, and I've got such a love for Grand Pro Wrestling. It's literally, I see it as my home within wrestling. But I just think the shows and the quality that they put on, and the production that they've got now, and everything is top tier. And I'm so proud. I've always been proud to wrestle for Grand Pro, but I'm so proud to wrestle for Grand Pro. And it's a big year for me, because at the end of last year, after 5 years, I won the Grand Pro Wrestling heavyweight title, which again was a massive bucket list thing for me, to be able to win the title of the company that I started at. And so with that, there's some big shoes to fill, though, because they've had some great champions like Joey, like Sam Gradwell. The list goes on. and so I have to live up to that now, and I plan on doing that. But it will be tough. It will be really tough. But again, I said to you before, I am someone who needs a challenge, and this is, for me, one of the biggest challenges that I can do. Is like sort of be the face of Grand Pro Wrestling now. And what an honour, for me. What that is. But I'm determined to really make this reign memorable and make people think that it was all worth it. It was all worth it.
Absolutely. Where it all began for you as well. I know it's got a special place in your heart, as you've said. So, yeah, no, brilliant. It'll be a very good show, I'm sure, in January. Right, I've got to ask you as well. I've got to ask you, being a former boxing trainer now, Saturday evening.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
I'm a boxing fan. I haven't got fighter's mentality.
Yeah.
I still think Usyk's going to beat him again. I just can't see past an Usyk win. I can't. And I've met Fury years ago when he came up to Llandudno, and I love him to pieces, but I just think Usyk's just too complete now.
I personally think Usyk will win again. I wouldn't be surprised if he stops him this time. I thought, to be fair, it should have been stopped last time. That round where he had him all over the place, I do feel if it had been the other way around and Fury had Usyk like that, I do think they would have stopped it. But I think they give him the benefit of the doubt because he's made so many dramatic comebacks and stuff like that. But I just think Usyk has got his number a little bit, and I think Fury as well. He's probably coming to the end of his career as well, because he to come back from the massive weight gain and everything that he put on and the depression and everything was a hell of an unbelievable feat. But that will. He's not Superman. That takes it out of any man. The greatest fighters of all time have all paid for putting loads of weight on and then losing loads of weight and they call it yo-yo dieting and whatever. That does have a massive effect. And he's been in the game a long time. He's made a lot of money out of the game now. Does that then impact your desire? I think it does. It impacts your will to win as well. Then as Marvin Hagler used to say, one of the great fighters, Marvin Hagler used to say, it's very hard to get up and go for a 10-mile run when you're getting out of silk sheets, and that is such a good quote. Such a good quote because that's what happens. These guys make so much money. How do you motivate yourself? What you motivate yourself for? More money? It's hard. Whereas when you're young and hungry and you've not got no money to your name, you'll fight anybody because you want to get to them positions. So, yeah. Listen, heavyweight boxing, anything can happen, and it only takes one punch. And Tyson's a big guy, and so I could be proven massively wrong, and he could land a shot on Saturday and do the big comeback. But in my opinion, Usyk beats him quite well as well on Saturday.
Here's one for you as well. I know it's like last year, maybe 18 months ago. Dubois, when Dubois hit that shot. They said below the belt line. What did you think? I thought that was a load of nonsense that night. That when he was given 5-6 minutes in the corner. What did you think as a fighter? Shots and where they go and legalities in the ring and stuff.
I really like Usyk, mate, and I think he's brilliant. But I don't think that was a low shot. I think it was right on the belt line. I don't think it was that bad at all, really. But I also do think, because he was down, wasn't he? And they were saying, if that would have been counted as a legal shot, he would have been out and won. I don't think that either. And what I mean by that is, I think Usyk's extremely experienced, and he saw his opportunity there to probably get a point deducted from him. And so he stayed down. In my opinion, I don't think he was quite as hurt as he made out he was. I think he did it to obviously dissuade the game plan of Dubois and probably get a point taken off him. If that would have been counted as a legal shot at the time, I think he'd have got up before 10. I really do. I don't think he was that hurt. I think he just put it on a little bit because there's an opportunity there to get, in effect, have almost like a knockdown round. He becomes a 10-8 round. So it's like you've knocked it down, but you've got a 10-8 round because you've had a deduction of points. So, yeah, I don't think it was a low shot, but I don't think he was hurt. It's a bit of a double one. I think he was as hurt as he made out he was.
I like getting fighters' perspective. It's all well and good me as a fan sat there chugging a few beers watching the fight and saying what I see.
It's only my opinion. I just think. As proven, because as it went on, then Usyk started knocking him about a little bit. I don't think he was as hurt as I think he made a meal of the shot because I think he knew, wait a minute, if that gets counted as a low shot here, he'll get a point deducted and I'm well up on the scorecard straight away. Or if he doesn't get counted, this is a knockdown and we don't want that. So I think he just played the game a little bit.
No, it's understandable in the circumstances. I'd say arguably his hardest fight was Chisora. I'll say that. I think Chisora caused him problems. It was awkward. Styles make fights and all that, don't as they say. But Chisora, it could be argued, was his toughest fight at heavyweight.
Yeah. Well, he's a tough guy, Del Boy. So it was. He always comes to fight, doesn't he? So
absolutely.
Yeah, it was probably his hardest one. But I think if Usyk wins on Saturday night, in my opinion, I think he should just retire. Because there is no more hills for him to climb, and his legacy will be remembered so well if he retires after beating Anthony Joshua twice convincingly, and then Tyson Fury twice convincingly. So I like the songs, but not yet. Yeah. I just think he will go down as one of the all-time greats. I think he will go down as the all-time greats, and deservedly so. But he's got to win this fight.
Absolutely. We look forward to Saturday night. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it very much. So before we go, just your social medias, please. Just plug away. Want you to plug away with all your socials, mate, please.
Yeah, obviously, if you want to follow me, and I hope you do, I want as much support as I can possibly get. You can follow me on Twitter, RPD Fighter. I'm sure you'll tag all this in there.
I will.
I'm on Instagram as RP Davis, and I'm on Facebook as RP Davis as well, Davies. So if you want to follow me, I hope you do. I put all the matches and the shows and anything that I've got coming up on them pages, and I try and promote them to the hill. So yeah, hopefully you see some stuff there. Maybe come watch me live.
Absolutely. My guest, it is the natural born fighter. It is RPD Ryan Paul Davis, and thank you so much for coming on. I know busy times, obviously the festive period. Have a fantastic Christmas with the family, mate. And then all the best for 2025 for the wrestling. And also, when you and Rick came up to us in the car park at Superstar all them years ago and introduced yourself, that was incredible.
Yeah.
I really like that. Dead old school. And that meant a lot.
I just think, again, I mean, they say that's old school, don't they? Which is great if it is, but for me, that's just manners, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, that's how my mum and dad brought me up. You say hello to people, you shake hands with people, and you acknowledge everybody as well. Like, a wrestling show doesn't happen just because of the wrestlers. It happens because of the guys who set up the ring, the announcers, the medics, the fans, and this is what I was saying before. It's a team effort. We're in a team sport now for everybody, and we want the shows to go well, and we want it to progress at every level so that everyone gets lifted. So yeah, I appreciate that you say that, mate. But it was nice to meet you then, and hopefully,
yes,
I made a friend that day. So
yes, absolutely. Cheers. Thank you so much, mate. And yeah, as I said before, have a fantastic Christmas, and yeah, 2025 on the up and up. More titles for the natural born fighter RPD, I'm sure.
Let's go.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.